What is an energetic blockage, really? And for me, it's an informational issue, really. It's an information that starts attracting energy, and its purpose is to grow stronger and stronger, and its only goal is to destroy. And there are two ways it destroys. One is through sickness and one is through accidents.
That people who before didn't work with energy work, all of a sudden they have more awareness of themselves,
Yeah, because the more you liberate, the easier it is for people to really listen to themselves, because they don't have that many interference fields come up, because every interference field is keeping a mental pattern. So as you liberate people, they're more able to, instead of reacting to situations, they're actually having a choice. And so when we talk about energetic healing, what is it that what happens there? It's okay. What is an energetic blockage, really? And for me, it's an informational issue, really. It's an information that starts attracting energy, and its purpose is to grow stronger and stronger, and its only goal is to destroy. And there are two ways it destroys. One is through sickness and one is through accidents. And and not all those blockages are active all the time. Some are meant for later, some... What is it? Where are those blockages coming from? Well, there are different levels where they can be created and be imprinted in the body. One is through the daily stress. Let's say people are in traffic, there's road rage, somebody wishes something ill, somebody, it has an effect on the person whether or not they're conscious of it necessarily. And the other part is unresolved traumatic events, either from childhood or some traumatic event that happened, loss of a loved one, divorce, whatever people go through that really, yes. And let's get back to this in a little later, but because I do want to talk about the third level, the deepest layer of blockages, which is what we bring into the world. And what I mean by that is, how we have certain family fates or certain, medical histories that get repeated generation after generation. It's something that we pass on, that gets passed on to the next generation. So that's really the deepest level where most of the others kind of getting related to. So when we talk about energy healing, I'm really into deep cleansing. I'm not interested in brushing up a little bit on the top, make somebody feel good. I'm interested in, let's rip that out. Let's really liberate that person, because those interference fields, they are preventing the body doing what it needs to do and holding patterns that make people react. For example, if somebody says, this person that really pushed my button. I mean, what does it mean, pushing somebody's button? It means what really happens is there's a deeper energetic blockage that gets activated when there's a certain stimuli in the environment. And when that is gone, that person no longer feels triggered. It can actually, the person has a choice now which way it will respond to a situation. And in that, there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of opportunity.
To what? To grow, to learn?
Anything. For health, to grow, to have a different way of life, new friends. It really is great for any relationships, spouses, communication at work, anything that has to do, we are interrelational in our world. So as a lot of times people, we want to sometimes just change another person. And you're like, if they would only... And it's actually interesting. You can only change your own response. You can only change who you are. But when you do, it's incredible because the environment changes too. And with the changes that happen for people that have rid themselves of some of those blockages, it's just incredible.
And I read from some of your writings says practicing gratitude, forgiveness, and acceptance can help remove blockages from your body.
Yeah.
What you can tell us about that?
Well, it's one thing to move the blockages out, and that's why a lot of people do come to me, because they were like, well, I can't forgive XYZ, they're not even telling it sometimes, they're just thinking it. And there are a lot of things that sometimes happen in our lives. We're like, oh my gosh, I can forgive all of these things, but not that one. And what we have to realize is that if we don't, it keeps rusting us from the inside out. And when we choose to forgive, it's something that goes both ways. Because often we feel the person that wronged us, they have nothing against us, or we just been wronged. And often it's a two-way street. And it's hard to go in that moment to that place because we're hurt and it's that shock in us. I mean, there has been really scientific research that shows when people have a traumatic experience, it literally, you can see dark marks in the brain that then is related to a certain organ system where then usually symptoms develop later on. And so that shock, that short-circuiting that happens, if this stays long enough, it really messes with our bodies and hearts and spirit. So sometimes when you have this stronghold, it's good to go to somebody that'll help kind of facilitate moving it out. Like when I, for example, work with people or children that have been abused, they don't have to tell me what they went through, because with the work we do, they don't have to expose themselves. They don't have to tell me, but we're still moving it through. But even when you move it out, there comes to this place where it's good for a person to start becoming conscious about that dynamic of what forgiveness and not forgiveness does to the body. A, to really help resolving something, and B, to not create more blockages down the road. So forgiveness really works on the metabolism. A blockage that is in the metabolism in the body, usually you can refer it back to non-forgiving. Anything that's related with gallbladder, liver, a lot of bitterness gets stored there. And when we talk about forgiveness, we think, oh my gosh, I can't forgive because I can't feel it yet. So that means I can't do it. And so we put ourselves under a lot of pressure because we think we have to feel it, when in fact, first of all, it's a decision to say, I'm choosing to forgive, whether or not I'm feeling it yet, but I'm choosing to forgive and I'm no longer feeding that blockage. Once we do that, it's amazing what will happen. And it is true that a lot of behaviors we have has a direct link to certain organ systems. For example, like gratitude and the immune system. The immune system is, an incredible gift that we have been giving. This is our defense. This is what keeps us strong. If we have a strong immune system, our body can handle really much anything. That's what it was designed for. So how can we make sure we have a really strong immune system? And gratitude is really, really bringing that up. It's something we can all do every day in our lives. And often we say, oh, there's nothing we can be grateful about because we feel so bitter about something. And then, no, make it a practice. Just still go and say, what are 10 things that you're really grateful about? And you will find some things when you're really honest with us. And sometimes doing that step will help then forgive. Sometimes it helps to do things in order a little bit. So first being grateful then enables one to say, okay, I'll make a choice to forgive that person. Because the third one, acceptance, that you were referring to, which very closely is related to the nervous system, it's probably one of the harder ones to understand. Like, how do we accept things? How do we really, really accept things on all levels? Not just with the head, not just a different part of us. And so first going through the steps of gratitude and forgiveness makes it much easier then to come to the stage of acceptance. And it's a practice. We're all here to practice in this life.
Well, you say so many important things, like acceptance is equivalent to surrender, right? And the gratitude is to being happy. That surrender is what Eckhart Tolle says, acceptance or surrender of what it is, to be in this moment.
Surrender is a really, really wonderful word.
But
use, because a lot of times when we're in a situation that's tough, or where we feel like, oh my gosh, how did I create that mess? We feel sometimes taking too much responsibility for something in a way that makes it hard to move on out of it. And understanding that we don't have to carry that on our own shoulders, that whoever created is there